This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
I would like to welcome you in officially as we are broadcasting live here on the Meltdown every single weekday, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Thank you so much for being here with us. Once again, cast of characters joining us in the Culver studio as we have Tyler, Lionel Johns, as always, present and ready to participate
With a mouthful of Sprite cranberry.
after having survived Wicked last night. And it was a wicked fun time.
It was a great time. We met up before the movie. Well, right before the movie because I got stuck in traffic. But we still got to take pictures. EG did a little vlog that'll be coming out soon. And after we got to film our review together and just hang out.
It had to be different than most of your theater experiences where you go in incognito mode and very much are the only one in the theater half the time.
Yes, that's usually what happens. See, even yesterday, you guys might get a kick out of this. One of the okay, so I'm on a first name basis with a lot of the employees at the theater.
I would hope by now, yeah.
So someone asked, "What are you here to see today?" I see them just about every day, and I say, "Wicked." She goes, "Oh, I didn't know you were a musical fan." I go, "No, I hate musicals." She goes, "Oh, all right. Are you here with friends? I saw you talking to some people." It's like, "Yes, I'm here with friends. Yes,
So-
I have those."
That is actually quite
No,
funny.
I know normally they see me pulling up on a Friday night alone.
This sounds like a story I set up, but this is the first time I'm hearing this story. So the fact that we just stumbled upon that pot of gold makes me very happy that we made ourselves there towards the end of the rainbow. We have EG here with us. EG, it was a fun night last night.
It was.
We had a lot of glamorous things happen to us.
You could say.
I mean, we were under like sparkly
Yes.
streamers and
Balloons.
balloons, and we were taking a bunch of photos, and we got to meet friends of the show.
Yeah.
It was just, it was
Sounds
just
like
a
you
nice
guys are
night out.
popular.
Heated seats.
I'm going to address why they're doing that in a
Yeah,
second.
we'll have to.
I'm going to talk about that story.
Okay.
But we have Brian Pavlick here, which means things are set to go off the rails today.
Keep your camera in focus, Tyler. I'm all over the place today, dude.
I-
Hi, Tim.
Hello, Brian.
First appearance of season 2. I'm nervous.
You are?
Well, we had such a strong season 1, and I felt like my character developed really nicely over season 1.
Yeah.
See, I called myself at the first appearance that I was on the I-Man of this show. And I think I became more of that. I think I became a household name. Then again, so is garbage, and that stinks when it gets old too. But here I am, and I'm on season 2. You renewed my contract. Thank you.
You are on a performance-based
Well,
sort of
this is true.
schedule
It's a
here.
piff,
We'll
too.
see how today goes, and then
Yeah.
that point forward, we'll see if you show up.
Just
throughout
a
the
series of
remainder of the
3-day contracts.
Correct.
Well, yeah, kind of, but it's fun to see season 2. I think you guys have done well. I hope the audience at home has enjoyed season 2 with me. You know, we've had some other good character development. You know, EG has become like the Steve Urkel of the group. You know, Family Matters was only about the Winslows on season 1, and then all of a sudden they said Urkel is the moneymaker. Let's focus on Urkel. So here she is. Tyler, you know, if you go back to Cheers, you know, Coach died off, and now here's Tyler as Woody serving up so much love to the patrons, and I feel good about that. And then of course we have our commissioner
love.
Josh Sisk. I mean,
Love.
what a character development there. Boomer's cultured. Saw him last night in his best leather, nice hair outside of Ulta, seeing Wicked. Boomer, we love you, I promise you. And I saw Spud. You know,
Oh, yeah, Spud was
Spud,
here.
you got to be careful with this type of year because, you know, it's one of God's chosen people. You'll say to Spud, "Are you getting ready for 8 crazy nights?" And he'll say, "Is it you talking about Hanukkah or the length of my second marriage?" So So it's good to see all my friends in these character arcs develop in season 2. And here I am. I'm like the boys from K&B Construction from Home Improvement. I show up, I make my noise, and I go back for a while until you invite me.
Burning down the house is what you're doing right now.
I'm trying to do something.
Explain the fit for me, because it's gotten a lot of attention so far. We have not yet made it to Thanksgiving, but you are right
I'm a
there.
Christmas guy.
Yeah.
November 1, I aired out the tubs. We have the airing of the tubs. We have about 15 in the attic. We have 8-foot nutcrackers that live in our house. We don't have a lot of inflatables. We're not those type of people. We're not redneck. But we have a lot of nice decorations. Our Disney den is all made up. Yes, I said we have a Disney den.
Okay.
But I don't know if you guys will have me on before Christmas. So I went with Merry Christmas in the hopes of just spreading holiday cheer. And you called Dr. Love, and we're going to Detroit Rock City this thing, baby. Shout it out loud. Rock and roll
Absolutely.
all night.
I love it. Very
Love
much.
guns.
Thank you for all the references
You're
there
welcome.
to Kiss, for sure.
Got it.
Real quick,
Yes.
what do you think of Kiss living on forever through holograms? And is that an experience you would pay for? Because one story we covered on here was them selling their digital likeness for a lifetime contract.
Dude.
Would you pay a ticket to go see that?
No, that we're jumping too much into there. I part of the Kiss experience actually is the actual theatrics that come with it. Now, could you replicate that with holograms to an extent? Sure, but at that point, you might as well just put it on a big screen and charge $12 for 3D.
Well, I wish it had been $12.
Yeah, it
for
was,
the-
it was
the Wicked.
$18.99.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
with,
wicked.
with tax, it ended up being close to $22.
Jeez, I'm not
And
worth that.
it was
Thanks, AMC, for not letting me use my A-list membership to buy the ticket.
Ooh,
Burn.
Tyler is wishing that we would have done our What AMC Can Do Better video today instead of a week ago,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you'd have a whole different list of complaints. But let's talk a little bit about Wicked. We're obviously not going to get into heavy spoilers here on the live show, because there are a couple of little treats for fans, for sure. So we're not going to spoil all those for those that want to watch it for the first time this weekend. But I do think this movie is going to perform really well. I think it's going to draw lots of families to the theater over the course of the Thanksgiving holiday. And I think it's worthy of a lot of the praise when it comes to the acting, the singing, the overall ensemble cast. It really delivers, I think. And the direction is strong. I just visually don't like the way the movie looks. And I don't know, probably if you've seen the trailer, I mean, there's nothing really different from all the marketing that we've seen from what you see in the final presentation. So you kind of know going in whether or not visually it's something that works for you. And for me, it doesn't. It's not, it just looks too artificial, too computer generated. I just don't.
Willy Wonka, Tim Burton,
Willy Wonka, and I wanted it to be maybe a little bit more Hunger Games, where it had a little bit more of a physical feel to it. And it didn't. It really played more into the whimsical, which in this world I understand, but even the original Wizard of Oz feels way more grounded in its production design. Obviously, they didn't have the computer technology to be able to do what they're doing with this version. But even The Wiz, I feel like, it's a musical. It is way more grounded in its production design. And I don't really love the production design here. Tyler, everyone obviously knows that you hate musicals, but you actually walked out of this one going, I understand why fans of musicals would appreciate this.
Yes, performances were very good. Doesn't mean I liked it. I was not a fan of the music in the movie, and that is obviously a big selling point. I really like the color palette they used throughout the movie, and Peter Dinklage as the goat.
Yes.
That was that was probably my favorite part. Got a genuine chuckle out of me when he tried to say the word bad and it came out bad. So that made me laugh, but yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say next.
Okay, well,
It's okay. You felt sheepish after you told that joke.
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to explain why they're doing that in just a couple of moments. E.g., this was a fun experience, but there were a couple of moments that I have to bring up about the viewing experience. And if we ever get into sensitive territory, you just tell me to stop. Okay? we were seeing this movie in 3D and you didn't put on your glasses for the first like 2-3 minutes.
No, it wasn't the first 2-3 minutes.
Well, I mean,
was.
I
sat next to
jumped
you.
in. I jumped in and said, "EG,
yeah, you did.
Put
EG,
on your
put on your glasses."
Yeah, you did.
You were just popcorning.
I
I mean, you were
was-
just.
I was popcorning, and I truly forgot that it was in 3D. And then
Why is the screen so out of
what?
focus?
What's funny?
Why
is
did that animated chicken tell me to put on some glasses?
What's funny is I put them on like sunglasses at first, and I wear my sunglasses like down the bridge of my nose. So I was like, "Why is this?" And I was like, "Oh, I gotta like shove these like to my face.
Right.
To
Gotta
get
be
this
in front of
full
your eyes.
Yeah.
Have
it's
you
full-
never been taught how to wear glasses?
Well, I wear my sunglasses down the bridge of my nose for comfort, so I just was extrapolating them from the bag. And yeah,
Okay.
You're such a fascinating individual.
You are. You
I
are.
think Urkel wore his glasses properly.
Okay. There's a second point I want to bring up, and that is that I kept whispering something to you throughout the course of the movie. Do you remember what
Oh.
I kept whispering to you? Because as soon as I say it, you'll remember.
yeah. As soon as you just say it,
Tyler is
yes,
miserable right now.
Tyler is miserable right now. Tyler is miserable.
Were
right
you guys actually saying that during the movie?
Every single time they burst out into
now.
song,
It was
I would lean over to EG and she'd be like, "Oh, what is it?" And I'd be like, "Tyler's miserable right now." And every time I think she thought I would not say it again, and I said it again, and
Yeah.
she laughed every time.
I did because I felt your like annoyance brooding from 3 rows down.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
auditorium
Yeah.
could feel it. We're going to get into sort of the theatrical experience here because we did not have any singers in our auditorium.
Well, except us.
We got into some,
singing?
but it wasn't like we were
I
karaoke.
mean, I think we like harmonized like once, maybe.
No,
on the
that's not
hum.
harmonizing. That's just more dogs at the pound at mealtime.
There's been a lot of hoopla about people going into Wicked screenings and they're singing out loud the song.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we didn't have that in our auditorium.
We hummed.
Yeah.
What we had was Boomer
Uh-oh.
watching the movie with us on the
Yes.
back row. And there's some comedy in this movie for sure.
Little one-liners.
Little one-liners. And Boomer lets out a laugh that I'm not even sure you can categorize as a laugh. It sounded more like a medical episode.
We heard you, Boomer.
But it sounds like, imagine you have a nail go through your foot. Like what the sound would be that you would let out of your face. Like imagine you're walking and you're open-toed in your garage and you happen to hit a nail in that perfect spot right in the middle of your foot. That's what Boomer's laugh was. There was a joke, and then it was very quiet in the auditorium, and then and it was like, what in the world happened? EG jumped, like, whoa. Pavlick looks at me, and I look at him, and through the shade of our 3D glasses, we somehow still make eye contact, and we just our shoulders are chuckling. And he had a very pronounced and it wasn't even a laugh. Maybe he did step on a nail though, just at the right time.
Boomer, we love you. It was a highlight
the
of my
best part
night.
of the movie.
But it was very memorable, and all day long, throughout the echoes of Disrupt Media, we've heard so it's a thing that is continuing on. So
Quick chat check in
Uh.
here. Boomer in the chat said, "You hit it, Pav. Do it again."
What? You just tell a quick joke and you.
that's what it is.
That was a Boomer laugh,
What it
and
is.
from the man himself. Love you, buddy.
Samuel says never go see 3D movies. Unfortunately, it was the only option.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
They had 4 screenings. They were all 3D.
Do you
And
think
so
it was
there
to
was no.
get extra money?
yeah, yeah. I think it might have
You
been.
think it was capitalism?
Right.
Yeah,
I think they really wanted that extra $3 per ticket.
Now, you're a fan of slasher movies.
Yeah.
Did you go see Friday the 13th Part 3 in theaters when it came out back in 3D?
I mean, how old would I have been there?
It would have been the late 80s.
Yeah, I don't think I was barely into Gremlins at that point, let alone an actual slasher film. No, but 3D, I think, in some regards, has its place. Now, like a good example of a 3D movie, I think the Avatar movies should be seen in 3D. I think those types of experiences, when they're just completely submersive, are good for 3D.
No.
But the random musical, I don't even think like Star Wars ones, Disney ones, leave it at home. But something that like I said, Avatar, maybe even some Marvel-ish kind of things. Yes, not this.
Avatar reintroduced 3D to where it felt like spectacle that you had to see, which is what ended up propelling it
Right.
to become the highest grossing movie of all time. And now 3D is totally unjustified because
I don't like 3D, and I didn't like the original Avatar.
Well,
But
and you don't like musicals.
and I don't like musicals.
But with the 2D projection being what it is now, there's really no need for 3D.
No,
Yeah.
I
It
agree.
really ruins what the selling point of theaters are now,
Yeah.
which is that our 2D projection is so good, you don't need specialty glasses to wear
Yeah.
throughout.
I would
Yeah, I'd
enjoy
rather
that
just
a lot
watch it
more.
like with laser projection, digital projection, or Prime.
So, anyway, overall,
It
I
was a
think
fun night.
we all had a blast. We all recommend Wicked to some
Mhm.
degree.
Yes.
I don't think it's a 5 out of 5 movie. I've got it at like a 3.5, but it's a crowd pleaser. And it was sort of the quietest theater that I can imagine for a movie where we've heard all the hype that people are going to be singing. AMC spokesperson Ryan Noonan has spoken about this subject, saying, quote, AMC has a long-standing policy that prohibits disruptive behavior. The Wicked pre-show spot incorporates the themes of the film as a fun, engaging reminder to moviegoers to not disrupt the experience for those around them as they enjoy the show. Now, the only thing that may not make that sort of campaign in that pre-show role work is the fact that they've been showing that now for like a month or a month and a half in front of every movie. And it says at AMC theaters, silence is golden. No talking, no texting, no singing, no waiting, no flirting, and absolutely no name calling. Enjoy the magic of the movies. It's done with Jeff Goldblum's voice, and it's done with cut-ins from the Wicked movie, which all I can imagine is, Tyler, all these movies you've seen in theaters over the course of the past month or two, you've become so frustrated and annoyed by all the Wicked marketing,
Oh,
including that pre-roll, please behave during the movie section.
Yeah, see, and it would be fine if they just had that or just had the trailer. But they always do both.
Yeah.
Always, always, always. And then sometimes if you get there a little early, then the regular commercials they'll play before they actually start the trailers will be Wicked themed. There's a phone themed one, and there's so many. I cannot imagine the marketing budget for this movie.
It has been intense, but I think it's going to pay off.
Oh, yeah.
And they've already announced big plans with this franchise.
Mhm.
E.g., we didn't have any singers last night in our screening. A lot of that was by design because we wanted to pick the smallest theater possible to try to limit the riffraff. Somehow, Boomer still got in. But here, that was supposed to be a joke. Y'all were thank you. You're supposed to laugh. Variety has reported that roughly 1,000 theaters in North America will be offering interactive screenings of the movie beginning Christmas Day.
Here we go.
Oh,
Sing along.
That's my Christmas Day.
This is about a month from
There-
now.
there are going to be some upset people that don't know that they're booking an interactive screening.
You think a month from now people won't be aware of that?
Don't you have a piece
Wait,
of tape and a
listen to
paper that
this.
says these may be interactive?
Wait,
Put it up
gotta
the
be.
window.
Listen to this. So I called my mom as we were leaving here to go head to the movie. And I was like, oh, like I'm going to see Wicked. She was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. And she was like, huh? And she was like, kind of acting weird. She was like, where is it? Like, what? Like, she genuinely, and like my mother is a very smart woman. And like, it's not that. She was like, I had no idea that it was even a thing.
That there was a Wicked
She
movie
was like,
coming
I
out?
may have seen it. Like, I may have, like, but no, she had no basis for it. So
Mm.
we talk about this marketing campaign, and she like consumes media. Like, she's on like the socials and like watches TV, and she just was like, none of it landed.
However, that is sort of the brilliance of the media marketing because all she needed was a phone call from you to
Oh,
Exactly.
look at
And
you.
now
see
she's
the
like, oh
4D
my,
chess.
yeah. And then she was like, wow, like I remember taking you to go see it on at the Fox in Atlanta. Like maybe I'll go see it. And I'm like, well, yeah.
It comes from EG. It's basically a celebrity endorsement
Yeah.
over here. Crazy.
It is a movie that people are more excited about to
Yeah.
see, especially Meltdonians
Yeah.
and egressors, because EG has graced the theater to see it.
Egressors.
I do have a question though. Like, and I was pondering this. I was kind of asking you guys, and I just want your thought. we're in this trend now of villains getting backstories. Kind of, I don't know whether it's the capitalism thing, as you said, Tim, or we need, no, but there are no bad people. They're just bad circumstances that made them proceed bad guys. Does every villain now need a backstory? Because here's the thing with this character, I knew her as Elvira Gulch, by the way, or the Wicked Witch of the West, because I grew up with the classic,
Yeah.
MGM Wizard of Oz. She already had 2 backstories in that movie. She was a witch whose sister got crushed by a house, and then some floozy from Kansas stole her shoes, and these little people were singing happy songs about it. That's enough of a backstory. I'd be mad. But then even before that, before they got into the color tones, they were in the gray areas. And what was her backstory? Do you remember why she was bad? She got bit
by
by a dog.
Yeah.
That's not a villain. That's a homeowner elected official doing her job. That's enough of the backstory. We don't have to go to Shiznit University to come up with a rising up of the good witch. We had 2 good backstories already. But she's a villain. We have to give her a backstory. That's the only thing that bothers me about villain stories.
But
But
if you're on the other end of this and you're associated with the property,
Okay.
and you want to figure out how to potentially generate billions of dollars off
Okay.
of this property that you have the rights to,
mhm,
I think your tone would change a little bit if you had sort of a fiscal investment into these stories continuing, even though the original is so sacred.
okay.
And Wicked has been extremely popular on Broadway. It almost feels like a
True.
surefire bet to put it on the screen as
Okay.
long as it's done with care. I just think, getting back into capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
that this is the perfect balance of the audience wanting it
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mhm.
being provided in a very quality way
Okay.
to where everybody is sort of rooting for each other.
So let me go down this rabbit hole if we've got time on the show. Tyler, put Tim's camera up, because every day when I watch this show, I see that Jaws poster,
Mhm.
and I like it. And you wear your Jaws shirt occasionally.
I'm a Jaws fan.
Does Bruce the shark need a story, a backstory? How would it go?
Have you
Well,
seen Jaws: The Revenge?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to bring up.
But you need to go further than that. You need to be in a world. You were a little minnow where kids were making fun of you, and they were going, "Look at that little shark! He's a baby shark! Do 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 do!" And in the world, they make fun of your mother. Mama shark and Grandpa shark, yeah! And when you need to fight or bite, Jaws first bite. Do we need that?
Okay.
Incredible.
That was good.
Thank you. Do we need
it's
that?
almost like you prepared it.
Yeah.
That's what I will say. They're not making that. So it's an invalid argument.
It could
To me,
happen. Jaws first bite.
It's called Jaws.
And imagine, as the credit, it shows the title card, Jaws first bite, and you hear, baby shark. Do, 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 do.
That's exactly what they would do. They always do a dark version of like a pop song. But
Ridiculous.
what I was gonna say is it just feels like every studio now is trying to make the "here's why Daniel-san was actually the bully" argument.
Well,
It's that
Yes.
video essay over and over and over again.
but you know why?
Truth.
Because they want
Because
to
money.
correct. They want to continue to generate revenue. But when it's done correctly and when it's done in a way that is satisfying,
That's wicked
that
awesome.
should
I
be
get it.
championed.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like this is the case that you should be making this argument. I feel like a movie like Mufasa could potentially be that movie where we're all singing your praises, going, "Yep, not every single villain needs to have their story told."
Not
I'm already on that side for Mufasa.
We haven't
That
seen
looks
it yet.
awful.
not every villain needs to have empathy for them.
I agree, but I also don't think it's happening at the rate
No, it's not. It's
to
not.
where it's like a real problem. However,
Agreed.
Wicked's success will probably spurn more villainous backstories to properties we're already familiar
We
with.
had an entire trilogy about Darth Vader's backstory. And I'm not saying that those are bad, but I'm saying it's leading to a point where we've got to have a backstory and like a moral background of every single character and how they got to be the way they got. And that's why Star Wars is in the pits right now, because they're just going to end up launching a bunch of stuff about gray Jedis. and it's just not going to be good. It's not going to have the same punch.
But
I think when you muddy the tone
Yeah.
to the point where you're supposed to have empathy for the villains who you know are doing all of these awful things later
Right,
on.
yeah. This
It
summer,
it makes it tough.
this summer,
But-
look like a tree. The Biff Tannen story.
Right. But putting the onus on just the studio system is not fair, because as a consumer, people absolutely ate up episode 7 when The Force Awakens came out. And they wanted that nostalgia hit, and everyone was on board that Star Wars is back. That lasted for a couple of minutes, but it was a real thing that propelled Star Wars The Force Awakens to become, I think, the highest grossing film of all time in North America with its domestic haul. And it now is looked at as a distant memory because it narratively was unsatisfying for so many people along the way.
But even Force Awakens isn't a Maleficent or a Wicked situation. That's a sequel where you're not
Right. But you
necessarily recontextualizing the original villains and heroes.
get that, but you talked about Star Wars being in the toilet right now.
Oh yeah,
And Star Wars was in the toilet before Force Awakens. It's now in the toilet
and now it's back in the toilet.
post Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But all it takes is one more moment where everybody gets back on board that Star Wars is cool again. Can it be produced? Who knows? But they're going to keep trying. I promise you that. You don't buy up these properties to stop trying to roll the dice and come up with a real winner.
Counter to that, they got back in the toilet after Force Awakens through all of these backstories and one shots that you throw up on Disney Plus.
Not necessarily. Mandalorian was a
definitely
huge,
helped.
Did good. but
Mandalorian was a huge hit.
What
for
was
Yeah.
the
Disney.
show y'all
That's-
just
that's
absolutely
not a
fell in love with
backstory
this
on
summer
it.
that y'all just trashed every show?
That's my point. That's a new character.
A new character in a familiar world that introduces characters that we are reintroduces characters that we're already familiar with.
Yeah,
It was a
that's-
way to continue to play the nostalgia hit by having Boba Fett pop up and having us tied once again to things we already knew. I just think that to ask the studios, and I know it wasn't supposed to be as serious of a topic as maybe you're laying out there, but to ask the studios not to continue to try
It's a trend. It's great.
to develop content that keeps us in familiar places is something that I'm not sure is quite fair.
It also speaks to the lack of creativity these days, but that's a whole other story. I
No,
think.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
100% on the studios, on their writers, to just come up with interesting stories.
Yep.
And the fact that the most interesting stories are the ones that are getting greenlit. We would assume so that these are the best of the best of what's being submitted to all the studios. And they just keep doing let's recontextualize this villain and show how they got the way they are.
Right.
And it's the same story beats across all these properties.
Yes, but it's also we have to market things that we know people already know about.
Mhm.
And it's the same problem wrestling has had for so many years, Brian.
Look out.
Developing new stars.
Come at
It's
you.
been a problem. And what happens? What brings the eyeballs back to wrestling?
John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold
The
Steve
no
Austin,
favorites. When they
Ric
pop,
Flair rolled out there. God bless.
when they come back out and pop, I think you agree with me on this. There's a lot that we can take just from popular culture and its trends, whether it's movies, television, whatever. And wrestling kind of does it all first.
Yes.
And us wrestling fans, we know that they've been way too dependent on stars of the old because it's so much easier to bring them back in for a quick
Hey.
burst of excitement
Listen.
than it is to develop new stars.
And that's why Donald Trump appointed Linda McMahon to his cabinet.
Well, it is why, no, you're not wrong there. It's why we see so many of the same politicians over and over and over again, because developing new stars is tough and developing new stories is tough. I would love the sentimental, the best art needs to win at the end of the day story to be real, but it's not. Unfortunately, it's always a mix of what's the best story we can tell with things that we know we can market.
Right.
And that's exactly why you get a movie like Wicked popping off the way it is right now.
It was still good, though. And
It
I
was.
had great company last night. We'll say
Was.
that.
By the way, part 2 is set for release 1 year from today. We're exactly 1 year away.
Really?
So
Long intermission, folks.
we are counting down the minutes now to part 2. Should we go ahead and book our tickets for a 2D screening?
We could. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Go ahead and hit the bathroom before the second act starts.
Maybe so. I'll tell you where I'm booking my tickets to. Alabama Dental Associates. But guess what? You don't have to book a ticket. All you got to do is call a
So
number.
easy.
205-956-8977. That's where you'll meet Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan over at Alabama Dental Associates. They provide all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health, whether you have a nagging toothache or you need to go get on top of those regular cleanings. They are there for you. Maybe you're new in town and you need to make sure you have a dentist on standby. Reach out and try Alabama Dental Associates for yourself. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, you can reach out to them there at alabamadental.com, or once again, call that number 205-956-8977. All right, EG, I want to get into the CMAs.
Okay.
They happened last night. You're a country music fan. I'm a country music fan. I don't think Brian and Tyler dabble in
Absolutely not.
much current country music.
I'd rather listen to the music from Wicked on repeat than country music.
Man, there's a hot take.
I dislike musicals, but I dislike country music even more.
Okay. Well, this is why I guess I'm going to talk to you, EG, about this.
Perfect.
Entertainer of the Year
Mhm.
goes to your boy, Morgan Wallen.
Yep.
And I don't think it was necessarily expected.
No, I was surprised.
I think most people were. Morgan Wallen wasn't even there to accept the award.
No.
Was this the dude who threw the stool or chair
the
out the
chair
window? Okay.
in Nashville.
Chair
That
off the
is your
bar.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Had a lot of hits, no doubt, but gets rewarded with the Entertainer of the Year. I know that, like, his walkouts to his concerts even have become viral. That's
Yeah,
how
for
big of an act he is. Obviously, he fills seats and stadiums, and he has become a hot country music act. So I'm surprised that country music decided to embrace him this year when it seems like they've always kept him at arm's length.
I think that's a great kind of analogy. Definitely, I guess I don't even know if that's an analogy. Just saying they've kept him at a distance, and I feel like he's a little bit, I don't say controversial, but he gets himself into some situations.
Mhm.
And I will say 3-4 years ago, he was controversial. And you mentioned the walkouts, and I think that was probably an element to this whole thing, because you've had people from the likes of Travis Kelce walking out with him, Peyton Manning, the Tennessee baseball coach. Like, I mean, you can kind of go down the line and just see all of these very famous people that attend his concert. So, I mean, you have a chance to see some star that you didn't expect when you sign up to go to a Morgan Wallen concert. I know both of my brothers, my sister-in-law, they have been to a Morgan Wallen concert and they loved it. Incredible live. He's very interactive with the fans. He makes each show very personable to whatever city he's in. And I think that is becoming more popular. You see, like with like the Taylor Swifts and Sabrina Carpenters making a point to, wear specific colors for a specific place, things like that. But I think Morgan Wallen does a good job of that. But you also don't know if he's going to cancel a show or not, which is kind of surprising.
You ever had a no-show happen at a concert?
I waited 2.5 hours for Afro Man,
Oh,
and he played about 15 minutes and
And
then
left?
pieced out. Yeah.
dang.
This is how it went with
That
Lionel.
sounds about right for Afro Man. That's on character.
This is how it went with
I
Lionel.
was gonna play a concert.
This is how it went. Look, Tyler's singing on the show. Come on now.
Wow.
Here we go, Lionel.
I know. Speaking of Lionel Richie, this is what happened with him at the World Games in Birmingham.
Oh, that's
here.
right.
Remember, he
Yeah.
sort of like showed up late, played a couple songs. There was a pay dispute, and then he ended up getting up out of there. So it was something that recently we experienced here. Single of the year, by the way, went to White Horse, which is a Chris
Great
Stapleton song. Stapleton won what, like 8 of these awards
Mhm.
throughout the night? Is that your Stapleton impression?
A little bit of it.
That's more Meatloaf. That sounds more Meatloaf.
That's
to
a little
me.
emo.
That's not Meatloaf.
I'm getting emo from
Oh,
I don't know what that was.
pop rock.
Is it better?
That's Boomer.
All right.
Yes, absolutely. Song of the year also going to White Horse. Female vocalist of the year, Lainey Wilson. You're not a Lainey Wilson fan.
I'm not a Lainey Wilson gal. I did somewhat change my opinion of her on her song with Post Malone. We've talked about it before.
Nosedive.
Nosedive. It's a great song. I think she did great hosting, and I'm, becoming more of a fan, but I'm not going to queue up Lainey Wilson by any means.
Once again, male vocalist of the year, Chris Stapleton. Vocal group of the year, Old Dominion. There were a lot of people upset about the
Yeah.
Red Clay Strays not getting the award there.
Oh, yeah.
But take yourself back to the 90s here. Vocal duo of the year, Brooks and Dunn. Winning vocal duo of the
Yeah.
year. They performed last night too with Jelly Roll.
And that apparently brought people to tears, I was reading.
It did. The song was Believe, which is already an emotional song from Brooks and Dunn. but you bring Jelly Roll out there to also perform this, and he was pointing a lot at the crosses on his
Yeah,
face
yeah.
and singing the song, and it really was.
Tearjerker.
It really was. The crowd, there were close-up shots of just grown men crying
Yeah.
everywhere, and it's a very emotional song to see live, especially. I went and saw Brooks and Dunn recently in Huntsville, and that song like still resonates. It's such a well-written song.
I love the song Red Dirt Road by them.
Yes, also
one.
very good for sure. But
You never had a few adult soda pops on a lake on a midnight and listen to Neon Moon? That's emotional.
Neon.
not in that setting,
Okay.
but that song.
It's a
Try
good
it
song.
sometime. It's an emotional experience.
Yeah, it's amazing how
So
well
I've heard.
their songs have held up. I understand there's deep pain in your eyes. I see it. I saw it through your 3D glasses last night when I looked across. And what did we hear Boomer doing in the background?
I don't know. We've adjusted it now. It's more like now the
Yeah. There's one more thing I want to point out here, and that is New Artist of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Megan Moroney won New Artist of the Year, and I am a huge Megan Moroney fan.
I am too.
I think she is fantastic, and she ended up beating acts like Shabuzi and Zach Top and Bailey Zimmerman.
Was Post Malone in that category?
Post Malone was not in this category, no.
Which I mean, I see why, but at the same time, like,
I think the only thing Post Malone was in was maybe Music Video of the Year.
really, I don't know,
No, I'm wrong. No, I Had Some Help was
Had Some-
Music Video of the Year.
but not Song of the Year.
And Musical Event of the Year, Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen, I Had Some Help. But I don't think Song of the Year was not.
That surprises me. I wish he would have gotten some more.
No, I Had Some Help with Post Malone was Song of the Year as well.
Okay.
Was nominated.
No, yeah.
A lot of nominations. I saw Post Malone here recently at Oak Mountain Amphitheater. It
Mhm.
was the last show that Oak Mountain Amphitheater will ever have. And I'm sure
RIP.
Brian, like, it really held up so well over its time. Obviously, it got some renovations.
I'll agree with you there. Yes.
And I hate to see it go. I do
No.
wonder what the future. You're not going to mourn it at all?
No.
Nope.
Again, I actually said this on the with you guys. I believe one of the last times I was here. The total atmosphere of that amphitheater changed when they added, and I know why they did, but when they took the lawn seating out, where you could just general admission have a party on the lawn, those were exciting times for a young man coming of age. But once they took that out and they made it, now it's just capacity, these seats, that's when kind of the change happened for me. Still a great venue, and it could have held for another 15 years.
Tyler, what was the best artist that you saw at that venue, Oak Mountain Amphitheater?
So my first concert ever was at that venue, and it was Motley Crue's farewell tour, where Alice Cooper was the opener, and I think he
Nice.
was the best person that I saw there, because Vince Neil leaves out a lot of words these days, runs out of breath.
I
Did
hear
you get to go backstage with Alice Cooper like Wayne and Garth? Talk about the history of Milwaukee, which is an Algonquin name for the good land.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't know.
We talked about going back to the 90s for Brooks and Dunn. We're going to go back to the 90s here for a sort of comedy resurgence. I don't know where you are, Pavlick, on the movie Tommy Boy,
Oh, yeah.
but it is
Good one.
still one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
That is one, and it's not like vulgar humor. It's
Yeah.
just stupid comedy humor, which of course Chris Farley was the master at. And those movies have kept up more so than Zoolander and I think Anchorman and Ace Ventura, a Tommy Boy. Kind of those physical comedies hold up more, and I think it's just because that's why the Three Stooges are still funny. You can slap somebody in the
That
face
guy
right
in a little
now.
coat is timeless.
For sure, or the car door and the gas pump. What did you do? Yeah, just iconic scenes.
And David Spade was one half of that duo that made that movie work.
Absolutely.
And he is returning to the movie screen, potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a straight to digital release or if this is going to get some sort of theatrical release, but David Spade and Theo Vaughn will star in and produce a buddy comedy called Busboys, which they wrote and are self-financing. It is set in a border town in Arizona.
In a world. Go ahead.
The movie follows David and Theo, two friends who think becoming waiters will solve all of their problems. They are
Yikes.
wrong. That's what it says.
Mhm.
That's the log line. I don't know. They
I'm,
think
I'm gonna need to see what situation
What's this
Theo
trailer gonna
creates
look
where
like?
being a waiter is the solution to all your problems.
Cash
If
flow.
there's anybody that can create a premise based around that, it's Theo Von.
Well, David Spade and Theo Vaughn very much believe in this product and project. Production will kick off January 10th in Los Angeles. I did ask Little T, is this something that would get you to show up to the theater? And she said, absolutely, I'm in.
She's nuts.
She loves Theo Vaughn and would 1000% support this film however she has to. I just don't know what the distribution model is going to look like here. I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a let's see how well it turns out and see whether or not we want to throw it in theaters, because comedies for the most part they just tank in theaters these days. Or will this be something Netflix buys up? It sounds like a Netflix movie to me.
It sounds like a Netflix movie.
Hulu.
They just did very well with the Shane Gillis show Tires, a sitcom based on workers at a tire shop, a very vulgar tire shop. So I can see this fitting in right alongside it on Netflix.
As opposed to the very PC. Everybody just
Well, it's not a tire shop where the workers are polite and helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to end with this, and it is a little bit of a Christmas discussion.
Yes.
I'm in the mood based on what I'm seeing there from your sweater. EG's going to have some strong opinions on this, I think, but Pavlick, I'm going to start with you.
Yes, please.
Okay, around this time of year, there's a certain type of movie that pops up.
Okay.
That is that prototypical girl comes in from the big city back to the small town, and there's a Christmas tree farmer who
Hallmark special.
went to high school together, and they sort of went different ways, and
Yes.
they come back, and she's stressed out by her job and all of her responsibilities.
But then she learns the true meaning of Christmas.
Oh my God.
That is correct. And she buys that Christmas tree because something goes wrong, and
Sir, I want to buy these shoes.
one of the worst songs ever made.
I
But they're typically referred to as Hallmark movies because they kind of are, but everyone's a sort of copy and pasted the same formula. We're seeing them on Netflix, we're seeing them on Hallmark, we're seeing them on Lifetime, we're seeing them on, I'm sure, like CMT. I'm sure they're everywhere. Amazon has got them on Prime.
Telemundo.
Telemundo. What do you make of these types of movies? Do you ever find yourself sucked into these movies?
Okay, and if Mateo watches the show back, my wife, she'll love this. I just like the titles. Because those are some of the most creative ones ever. My favorite one, I forget who's in it, and it's the best. And every time, now we turn it into a saying in our house. It's called "It's Christmas Carol." And every time we say "It's Christmas Carol" in our house, so the movies in and of themselves are okay. I mean, they're not the worst things I've ever seen, but the titles for me take it because
starring
those are some
Carrie
things.
Fisher.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty decent movie.
Modern reimagining of the festive tale. Driven publishing executive, always an ad executive, publishing executive.
Yeah.
Carol Huffman is visited the night before Christmas by the ghost of her former boss, Eve. It's directed by Michael Scott.
Christmas Carol.
EG.
Yes,
You are the primary target
I am.
for these films.
Yep.
Is it something that you'll throw on there at home and enjoy and find yourself going through a marathon of these?
No, it's kind of shocking. I feel like I do fit the mold of someone that would enjoy these films, but I never got into them. Like my parents weren't into it, my mom wasn't. But I remember every New Year's we go to Seaside, Florida with a group of families. And one year, this was when like the kids were still pretty little. So one year there was a Hallmark movie star, and I guess take that with what you will.
Hallmark Con.
Hallmark movie star. And so her name's Reese. She's a close family friend, and
course
she
it is.
only could watch Hallmark movies. Basically, that was like what the thing was. Like, okay, if you're gonna sit in front of the TV, we're gonna put a Hallmark movie on. She had this moment of seeing this Hallmark movie star and being like starstruck.
God bless Reese.
Starstruck to see this woman in person out and about in Seaside, Florida. Long story short, ended up meeting her. Can't remember her name. And I, of course, I'm like, this lady could be anyone. And Reese is like hyperventilating. She's probably like maybe 6th grade, maybe 5th grade. And she's like having a whole moment.
Could we right now go
Call
to the
Reese?
summit
Oh.
tonight, set up a table,
And pretend I'm a Hallmark
and pretend that we are like the stars of
star? Yes.
An upcoming
an
Hallmark.
upcoming, and I guarantee people would stop by
I
our
would
table
do
and
it.
take it.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
Tim.
That would be incredible
That
content.
sounds like a fantastic idea for extra Meltdown content.
Well, once we're all arrested,
Yeah, we
who do
see.
we call to
Wait,
bail
why
us
was he
out?
arrested?
Yeah, what's
For
Arrested.
loitering with some sort of table and signage.
loitering?
Or something.
that is-
That's the AMC enough. He's got friends there.
Yeah.
I got
We
some
can give
friends
him
in
a
high
table for
places.
15 minutes.
I will wait in the car for y'all to get done with whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, what kind of YouTuber
Do
are
you
you?
realize how many
I'm sorry.
Christmas cards from AMC
Disgraceful.
employees he's getting this year?
I'm going to be the YouTuber that shows up tomorrow to work while y'all are in
Yeah.
the pen because you have little old ladies.
But
have
that's
gotten
how
their
these
hopes
movies
up.
start.
That is
Couple gets in trouble, mischief in a town,
mischief in
Yeah.
town.
and then the big jolly friend usually saves them.
That's
I'd
exactly how
love
it
to be an
works.
extra in a Hallmark movie or star in one. Maybe I'll do that one day.
Maybe so, but
Hallmark, looking at you.
after that
Open
happens,
casting.
we can legitimately go lie to people about your level of stardom because you will have been in one of those. So it makes me feel really embarrassed.
Okay.
All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Meltdown today. Time flies, Brian. Thanks so much for
You're
being
welcome,
here.
man. My pleasure. Good to see everybody.
Really appreciate it. Hey, make sure you stop by our title sponsor. That is MyBookie. That's a place where you can build your bankroll here for the holiday season, or you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Plenty of opportunities to cash out, or you can go ahead and let it ride. They're at MyBookie. Join the MyBookie family for daily odds boosts, same game parlays, and super contests. It's all happening right there as you use promo code NEXTROUND for a first-time deposit bonus. Bet and play absolutely anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Smash that thumbs up button for us. We really do appreciate it. Tomorrow, we turn the page from Wicked to Gladiator. A whole lot of Gladiator 2 content headed your way on the Fun Friday edition of the Meltdown. I know Tyler is very excited to be able to shift to Gladiator mode. He saw it several days ago. I'm about to go see it right now. Looking forward to talking about it with you right here on the Meltdown.